Okay, so we will be talking about the Android Play Store today. So I just want to start out by saying welcome to another exciting Tech Buddies session brought to you by the MPC Foundation. So today what we're going to be covering off on is three things: the Play Store, how to download and manage your apps. So it's not going to be a super complicated class today. I think we've got about 20 slides that we'll be working through. But using the Play Store, downloading apps, this is actually going to be pretty fundamental to how you use your phone. So in case you haven't already figured it out, apps are pretty much the lifeblood of phones nowadays. It's not just about calling or texting anymore. There's so much more that you can actually do with your phones or your tablets compared to what you could do long ago in the past. So today we'll be talking a little bit about how to get those apps, how to search for them, and um, pretty much just answer some of your questions if you have any about using them. Um, as Vicky was saying at the beginning, next class and kind of the following classes after that, we'll start talking about different apps that you can actually get for your phone. But today, again, we'll be talking about some of the basics of how to actually download them and install them on your phone. So the app that you're going to be looking for on your phone is going to be this one here, the one that looks like a little arrow, multicolored arrow that says Google Play on it. Just for comparison, if you had an Apple phone, it shows up as something called the App Store. On Android phones, it comes up as Google Play. So if you're ever wondering about the difference where somebody calls it the App Store, on an Android device, it's Google Play. On an Apple device, it's App Store. So they're kind of used interchangeably when people are talking, but oftentimes people will use the word App Store instead of Google Play, just because it's a little more generic. But for you, make sure to go into the Google Play icon there. So when you click on that Google Play icon, what will pop up is the App Store. Well, essentially the place where you can get apps. Get apps, download apps, update your apps that you have existing on your phone, and learn more about some of the things that are out there. So just chatting quickly about the layout of what you're going to see on here. And let me just bring up my little annotate tool. Just give me half a sec here. So what you're going to see on the main page here is a search bar at the top. You're going to see oh, a more icon on the left here, the three little lines here. You're going to see an icon for going to your account settings. At the top here, you're going to see some different tabs that you can go to get you to different categories of applications apps. So typically it starts on the For You tab, which is essentially a section where Android is trying to recommend apps that it thinks you'll like. I've found that oftentimes the apps that you get in here sometimes can be relevant to you, but oftentimes it's more just apps that are kind of out there that they want to promote, but not necessarily ones that you'll find all that useful. Top charts can sometimes be useful too. This is where you can go in and actually find apps that are really highly rated and lots of people are downloading. So typically you'll get the really big apps, the really popular apps under top charts there. Um, Sticking with this For You tab, since we have it up there, it'll pop up with a few app suggestions for you, and oftentimes it'll be games that it thinks you might like there. So in a couple seconds, I'll actually talk about what you can do with those and how to go into them and action them and whatnot. Any questions so far, guys?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Okay, perfect. So the next thing that I want to talk about is adding or setting up your account on the Google Play Store. So anytime that you go into Google Play, if you want to download or look for apps, you actually have to be signed in under your account there. So right now, Coco was the one who came up with the slide here. So she is actually the one who is signed in on this particular Google Play Store. So what you'd want to do is click on the little icon in the top right-hand corner here. Now, it could be a picture, it could be a different letter. Coco's is just showing up as a C because that's the first letter of her name there. So on here, if you weren't signed in, it would ask you to sign in. But if you were signed in, you could add another account or you could manage accounts on the device. In this case, if you aren't signed in, click on sign in, and then it'll ask you to put in your email or phone number, Now, if you don't have an account, it'll also give you the option to
Let's
create
go.
an account on the Google Play Store. Now, this account
The
actually
next
is
time
going
quando
to be
provato se
used with
quero.
most of the services that you have on your Android device. So if you create an account on here, you can use it with pretty much everything else related to your Android phone. If you've already created an account in one of the other sections of the phone, you likely will be able to sign in on here. Essentially, this is just your Google account. So if you have an account with Google, that's what you can use to sign in. So on the left-hand side, again, is the more options section here. So if you click on that, you're going to have this pop up here, and this is going to give you a bunch more options for the Google Play Store. So you'll be able to see things like My Apps and Games. So this first one here talks about the things that you already have installed on your phone. So on here, you want to check this actually periodically because what it's going to give you is a list of apps that also need to be updated. So what that means is every now and then, developers of the apps will actually pop up with updates. Essentially, it's them trying to fix bugs or make things better or add new features. So if you've already downloaded an app and you want to make sure it's up to date, make sure to click on My Apps and Games, and then if there is an update, it'll pop up near the top there. This convenient button that says Update All, just use that, and it'll update all of the other things that you have now, in a couple minutes, I'll show you how to do it automatically so you don't have to go in here and manually update it. But if you're ever curious and you want to check it out, go in here and you can update that. I'm actually really bad for going in and updating my apps too often. I hate not having the most latest and greatest apps or whatnot. So I'll check mine once or twice a day. You don't have to do that. That's not something that is common, and I'm a little bit overboard when it comes to that. So the next one that I want to show you here is the settings option. So the setting option will have a few things in here that you'd want to be aware of. So the first one would be app download preference. So this is where you can essentially set up when you allow Google Play to Store to actually download apps. So right now it's set up as over any network. Now, what that means is if you're connected to your data or you're connected to Wi-Fi, the App Store will actually allow you to download apps. If you don't have a lot of data, you may want to change that to Wi-Fi only. Wi-Fi only means that you will be able to essentially only download the apps if you are connected to your home network or to a Wi-Fi network. The next one, auto update apps, same sort of thing here. So again, this one is where you can change the settings so that it'll automatically update your apps either over Wi-Fi only, which is what the setting is right now, or over any network. Um, the bottom option here, don't auto update apps. What that will do is if you have that selected, then it means you actually have to go into the My Apps and Games section and click the update button yourself manually. I wouldn't say keep that on. I would definitely say either turn it to over Wi-Fi or over any network. Probably for the updates, keep it on Wi-Fi only, just because you don't usually need to update your apps all the time. So it's okay to wait until you get home. Um, the third one on here that I want to show you is the autoplay videos. So autoplay videos, when you're in the App Store, you can actually go into different apps to check them out essentially. And a lot of times those apps will have pictures, promotional videos that you can see to get an idea of what that app includes. Autoplay videos means that if you go into one of those, the videos that they have to promote those apps or to show you how those apps work will play automatically. But if you don't want that, you can actually change that so that it only plays either on Wi-Fi or it doesn't automatically play at all. Right now, the setting is set to autoplay over Wi-Fi only. But if you're not on Wi-Fi, if you're on data, then it won't play and you have to click the play button yourself to make it go. Any questions on this part? Seems good? Okay. So next one we're going to talk about here is how to actually search and download apps. So on the main screen, there's a bar at the top here to search for apps and games. So you can pretty much search for anything you want there. And when you type something in, it will actually pop up with things that it recommends as well as apps that sound similar to what you're typing in. So if you type in, for example, messaging, you're probably going to get a bunch of apps that are all related to instant messaging, WhatsApp, Messenger, um, a few others that will pop up with that. So again, you can be pretty generic if you don't know exactly the app name that you're searching for, but you know the category, you can put that in. If you do know the app name, so for example, if you want to download WhatsApp, you can type that in, and likely the first one on the list will be the WhatsApp app. Um, Once you find it and you see the app that you want, you can tap the icon in order to be able to open up the details for that app. So what we're going to do is we're going to download WhatsApp. So if you don't already have it, that's fine, but we're going to see what it looks like if you want to download the WhatsApp app. So at the top, you're going to type in WhatsApp, and then what's going to pop up is an icon that looks a little bit like this. So again, you're going to see, in this case, a phone in a bubble there. That's the one you want to click on. Now, next to that is going to be some potential options. So see where I'm highlighting here where it says open? It won't necessarily always say open. If you don't actually have the app, if you haven't installed the app, what you'll see instead is one that says install. So it'll look like that. If you already have the app on your phone, then it'll say open just like you see on here. So in this case, Coco already has the WhatsApp Messenger, so she doesn't need to install it again. All she needs to do is just click the open button to bring it up. If there is an update for the app, instead of seeing open or install, you'll actually see update, and then you can click on that in order to be able to update the app. So that's kind of the long way of getting the update if there is one. But again, those are the three different options that you'll see if you are searching for an app. Now, another one that we can look at is Google Maps. So if you wanted to type in Google Maps on your phone there, what you're going to be finding is one that looks a little bit like this. So here's the icon on there. This one's a little bit confusing because there's actually two different apps. There's Google Maps Go and Google Maps. So typically Google Maps is going to be the bigger version of it, and Google Maps Go is just going to be for like directions, traffic, and transit. I would actually say download Google Maps itself, the main one. And again, if you already had it, it would say open. If you didn't have it, it would say install. So any questions on downloading the apps? And again, there's so many out there. So what I showed you was just a couple of them. Honestly, there's thousands of apps out there. Some of them are amazing and could do lots and lots of things. Some of them aren't so good. So just be careful when you're downloading apps too, that the ones that you pick, read the reviews, check them out, make sure that they are ones that will actually work for you. Because there's lots of apps out there that are great and lots that are not so wonderful. But that's okay, because even if you do download an app that you don't like, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you how to delete it too. So speaking of which, let's talk about how to delete an app. So let's say you downloaded something that you don't want, or it's something that you only used for a brief period of time and now you don't need it anymore. So let's say that you wanted to download or to delete Duolingo. This is actually a cool app because it helps teach you how to speak another language. I tried using it for a little while, but apparently I'm no good at speaking other languages. Vicky has been trying to teach me, but I am not so great. So little by little, I'm picking it up. But let's say that you downloaded Duolingo and you want to delete that. How you would do it is you would click on the app with your finger. You would actually press and hold. So instead of tapping like you normally would to open up the app, you'd put your finger on the app, you'd press and you'd hold. And then in a couple seconds, a little option will pop up that says, what do you want to do with it? The one you want to click on is uninstall. Uninstall will remove that app from your phone so that you don't have it there anymore. Um, Now, another thing that you can do as far as apps go is people tend to have lots of apps. It's really easy to go out and download tons and tons of apps because there's lots of things that are out there and lots of useful features that they have. But eventually you can get to the point where you have so many apps that your phone starts looking um, a little bit messy. And oftentimes what people will do is they will actually organize their apps into different folders. So you can have folders that are related to messaging. You can have folders that are related to uh, multimedia, so like your photos or videos. You can have things that are related to entertainment, so like Netflix or uh, or Prime Video or whatnot. So in order to move those apps around so that you can organize them, similar to last time where you would delete it, if you put your finger on the app, so let's say in this case you wanted to move the Facebook app. Unfortunately, I don't have a video to show you, but what you can do is you can put your finger on that Facebook app, hold for a couple of seconds, just like you would do if you wanted to delete it. But instead of letting your finger go, you would actually drag the app around. So you can actually move the app with your finger by pressing and holding on it. It takes a couple seconds for it to register, but then once you do, you can move it anywhere you want. So you can rearrange it. Now, to create a folder, what you would do is you'd actually move that Facebook app or that any app for that matter over top of the app that you wanted to group it with. So let's say you wanted to move Facebook and into a folder that included Messenger. You would press and hold on the Facebook app, wait till you're able to move it around, and then you would actually move it on top of the Messenger app. Your phone will automatically create a folder. Once it creates a folder, you just let go of your finger. Both of these apps, Facebook and Messenger, will be in that folder. And at the top of that folder, you can actually rename it. You can add a name for that group. So again, you can put it as whatever you want. So messaging or social media or whatnot. Um, if you wanted to add more icons to that folder or more apps to that folder, back on the main screen. So again, let's just pretend Messenger here is actually a folder that contains Messenger as well as Facebook. You can drag, say, WhatsApp into that folder as well, and then you can go and drag WeChat into that folder. That way, they're all organized under one space. So your main screen doesn't look quite so cluttered like this, and all of your apps are in that one folder to make it easier to access. So do you guys have any questions about that part? I know that might be a little bit complex, so I want to make sure that you're comfortable with it. Dave's good. Lena, you're good. Catherine, you're good.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you have any apps on your phone that you want to make into a folder now? Do you want to try it out?
Hmm.
So again, you're putting your finger on the app, you're dragging it to another app, and those apps will combine into a folder.
Hmm. But would that be too big for the folder if I get more into it?
So you can have pretty much as many apps in a folder as you want. So
Mm-hmm.
on the screen here, you see like Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, WeChat. So there's four different icons or four different like programs on here. You could have all four of those in one folder. You could actually have
Mm-hmm.
every icon on this folder or on this screen in one folder if you really wanted to. The trick is to help make yourself more organized. If you put
Mm-hmm.
all of your icons into one folder, you kind of have just move the mess from your main screen to the folder rather than having it on your main screen. The idea is to help
Mm-hmm.
organize yourself rather than to just kind of push everything to the side. It's the proverbial asking your kid to clean their room and they just put everything in the closet rather than clean up. Um, you want to make sure that you have a folder for the different things that you're going to use, just to make it easier for you rather than having everything in one, like a garbage folder.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
No worries. So next, what we're going to do is set up something called widgets. So have you guys ever heard of the term widgets before?
No, I haven't.
No problem. So what a widget is essentially like a little program that actually sits on your main screen. So I unfortunately don't have a video of this as well, but I'm going to show you on my phone if you can see it all right. So
Mm-hmm.
on my phone here, you can see this is the main screen of my phone, just like how you guys would have on yours. But notice how it shows the weather on the middle of the screen there. So
Mm-hmm.
that is actually what's known as a widget. So a widget is a little
Oh.
program that actually runs on the main screen of your phone. So you can have all sorts of different widgets. That one just happens to be a weather widget. But you can have widgets that are related to messaging apps, so you can easily access those. You can have widgets that are related to your pictures, so you can maybe see a little picture on there. On this screen here, you can actually see one of the search bar widgets. So this little search bar here is actually considered a widget as well. So widgets
Mm-hmm.
are, again, just little programs that run on your phone on the main screen there. Now, if you wanted to put a widget on your phone, um, oftentimes when you download an app, that app, if it has a widget available, will then be available to install on the phone. So to access it, what you would do is on the main screen of your phone, just press and hold your finger on um, on the screen. After a couple of
Mhm.
seconds, it will go to like an edit screen essentially. So I'm actually going to try to show you on mine just so you can see. So again, you can
Mhm.
see here where it shows the weather widget. Now, what I'm going to do to open up the edit screen is I'm just going to press and hold my finger here. So it went to this screen where it now lets me edit and see different things there. On the bottom there, you see this little row of icons. One of those icons is called widget. So it's hard to do
Mhm.
this backwards, but you want to press on that widget icon. And then what's going to happen is it's going to pop up with a whole bunch of different options. Usually at the bottom, there's going to be these little dots. That just shows you how many different pages there are. So you can scroll through and see the different pages for that one there. If there was a widget that you wanted, so let's say, so I'm not really sure which one I should pick. I'm just going to pick I'm just going to pick this one called Smart Things. You can pick whatever you want, but I'm going to pick this one just because I need an example. If you press and hold on that, oop,
Mhm.
there. So if you press it, or if you press it, and then it'll open up the screen that has the widget options. So typically widgets will have maybe multiple options. Some are usually bigger, some are smaller. Typically, the bigger ones will take up more space on your screen, but will include more potential things that it'll show, whereas the smaller ones will show less things, but won't take up as much space on your screen. Once you get to this one, if you click and hold on it, it will actually let you drag it somewhere onto the screen here. Oh, and I didn't mean to actually start it. I just wanted to drag it onto the screen. It's hard to do this backwards. So I'm actually going to pick a different one because that one keeps opening up. I'm going to do magnifier. So magnifier. So on this one here, I've now dragged it to the bottom here. And now if I wanted to use it, I can now open it up and use it. So any questions on that part so far? Hopefully widgets make sense. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So we are getting pretty close to the end of this one. Like I said, this one wasn't a long session. So I have a little bit of a mini quiz for you. So the first question, is it true that there are some free apps on the Play Store? So can you download free apps or do you have to pay for everything?
yes, I can download free apps. I don't have to pay for everything. No.
That's right. So oftentimes, a lot of the apps that you can get are free, which means that you don't have to pay for them. There are some apps that are paid for, and typically you'd have to have a credit card connected to your Google Store account to be able to download those ones. Now, one thing that I want to stress is that free doesn't necessarily mean free. Typically, what's going to end up happening is when you are downloading an app that is free, oftentimes the developers are trying to make money in different ways. Usually, that might mean that you are sharing your information and that information is being is being sold or is being used for other purposes. So oftentimes you want to make sure that you are downloading an app from a developer that you trust. So if it says free, just make sure you're checking the fine print, make sure it is actually free. Make sure that if you are getting those apps that you understand what essentially you're giving up in order to get that free app there. It's okay. I'll share our information in this day and age. It's pretty hard not to, but you just want to make sure that you are aware. Um, Now, when do you see these buttons? So these three buttons that you see on the screen here, when would you see those?
Mm. When you search
To
for an app, yeah.
So let's go to the first one. So when would you see the install button?
When you search for an app that you want to install, then the icon of the app showed up and so was install button.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. So when you search for an app, but you don't already have it on your phone, so the install button will show up when you don't have an app and you want to put that on your phone. How about the open app or the open button? When would you see that one?
You already have that app installed and you want just to open that app and use it.
You got it, exactly. And the
Oh,
last one, when would you see the update button?
I think whenever there's update for that particular app is available.
You got it. So if you have an app that you already got installed, but then there's an update for that, that's where you would see the last one here. So next question, can you delete an app after downloading it?
Yes.
Absolutely. So if you download an app that you found out you don't want or that you have already used and you don't need anymore, you can press and hold on it with your finger and click the uninstall button to remove it from your phone.